narrator, tone. Serious Isabella woke up with a throbbing headache and a sense that something was off. She realized she was in a hotel bed with a wall of flesh behind her. She turned stiffly to see an almost androgynously handsome face with thick eyebrows and a straight nose. The man was still asleep, his chest marked with red marks.
Isabella, tone, sad, too rough.
She winced in pain as she sat up, remembering her actions the previous night. She had been drinking to numb her discomfort and had seen a handsome man with a broad-shouldered, narrow-waisted figure.
Isabella, tone, serious, damn, Richard's wedding.
She quickly dressed, walked to the door, and then turned back, placing a stack of cash on the man's well-defined neck.
Isabella, tone, serious, compensation.
She patted his face before hurriedly leaving the hotel. The noise of the door closing woke the man on the bed. Alexander's eyes locked onto the stack of money, his face darkening as he clenched the cash in his fist.
Alexander, tone, angry she dared to leave money on me. Does she think I'm a gigolo?
Lucas, his personal assistant, rushed in, seeing the red marks on his boss and the money in his hand. He struggled not to laugh.
Lucas, tone, friendly Mr. Yen, I found out.
Only that arrogant heiress would dare sleep with this cold-hearted tyrant and then leave money behind. Alexander's face was as dark as ink. He threw the blanket at Lucas.
Alexander, tone, angry, laugh all you want in hiding.
Lucas, tone, panic boss.
Alexander, tone, harsh, try making a sound. If you don't laugh yourself to death, I'll make sure you regret it.
Lucas didn't dare laugh anymore. By the time he lifted the blanket, Alexander was already dressed. A deep blue fitted shirt accentuated his broad shoulders and narrow waist, black suit pants wrapped around his long, powerful legs. His cold, stern face was filled with a murderous aura.
Lucas, tone, serious Mr. Yen, the girl who booked this room last night was the eldest daughter of the Shin family. She left at 8:20 this morning.
Alexander, tone, serious Isabella?
Thinking of something, Alexander's expression changed slightly. He pondered for a moment before asking.
Alexander, tone, serious, is the Shin family hosting an event today?
Lucas, tone, disdainful, it's Richard's second wedding. He didn't even show up at Vivian's funeral a month ago, but now he's eager to host a second wedding, trying to win over business people to pave his way to becoming the chairman of the Shin family.
Seeing his boss's cold expression, Lucas stopped his rant and quietly reminded him.
Lucas, tone, serious, Miss Shin's secret return to the country is likely related to this.
Alexander, tone, icy, prepare the car.
The Shin family villa was bathed in light as the banquet officially began. Isabella, dressed in a black dress with black gauze at the cuffs and a small black flower on her head, exuded a noble and cool aura as she slowly descended the stairs. Someone in the corner noticed her unusual attire and started whispering.
Guest 1, tone, curious, who is that? Why is she dressed like that for a wedding?
Guest 2, tone, confused, is she here for a funeral?
Guest 3, tone, puzzled, she looks familiar.
Isabella walked through the crowd without looking sideways, a sarcastic smile on her lips as she looked at Richard, who was personally hosting the wedding on stage. The man was still speaking passionately.
Richard, tone, cheerful, I met Claire when we were young. I didn't know she was pregnant when we separated, and we missed so many years. Today, I want everyone to witness that from now on, Sophia will be the eldest daughter of the Song family, and Claire will be the woman I spend my life with.
Claire, dressed in a wedding gown, stood at the edge of the stage, looking at Richard with tearful eyes, full of emotion. Isabella sneered, gracefully leaping onto the stage, landing between the two of them.
Isabella, tone, mocking, there are only a few prominent families in Wenching. May I ask, which up-and-coming family does the Song family belong to?
Richard's face changed, unable to hide his shock. He immediately stepped forward to grab her wrist.
Richard, tone, serious, when did you come back?
Isabella, tone, serious, coming home, is it that difficult? Or maybe, my mom is helping me.
Richard looked at the familiar face, suddenly feeling guilty.
Isabella, tone, mocking, finally thinking of mom? Aren't you afraid? My mom is watching.
She laughed softly, her tone dark. Claire looked at the suddenly appearing woman, starting to tremble in fear.
Claire, tone, terrified you, let go of me. Richard, she's going to hurt our child again.
Richard quickly protected Claire, shouting.
Richard, tone, shouting Isabella. Let go! What do you want to do in front of everyone? Get out!
Isabella looked down at his legs, murmuring.
Isabella, tone, serious, Dad, do your legs still hurt on rainy days?
Richard's mind flashed back to Isabella's innocent yet sinister face at 7 years old, his body turning cold.
Isabella, tone, angry, I warned you back then, betray my mom, and I'll end you.
Isabella stepped forward, forcing Richard to retreat in guilt, his old leg injury throbbing.
Richard, tone, terrified, you lunatic!
Isabella, tone, cold, that's right, a little lunatic grows up to be even crazier. Dear Dad, what you owe my mother, I'll make sure you pay.
Though her tone was casual, her cold gaze made Richard break out in a cold sweat. Sophia finally reacted, shouting.
Sophia, tone, shouting, security, get this crazy woman out of here.
The security guards quickly surrounded Isabella but didn't move. Isabella turned, coldly looking at the arrogant Sophia.
Isabella, tone, mocking, do you really think you're the eldest daughter?
Sophia, tone, angry, Isabella, this is my home, what are you so smug about? If you cause trouble again, I'll strip you and throw you onto the street.
Isabella, tone, mocking, seems you haven't forgotten how you and your mom were thrown out of the Shin family by me back then.
Sophia, tone, shouting, security. Get her out of here.
The security guards remained motionless, staring at her expressionlessly. Sophia finally realized something was wrong.
Sophia, tone, angry, you.
Isabella, tone, mocking, they are the security guards of Catherine's villa, not Song or Zhao. Which village pig are you from, getting so inflated?
Sophia's mind went blank, unable to react to the insult. Isabella turned back to Richard.
Isabella, tone, serious, Mr. Song, as a live-in son-in-law, you've been enjoying the Shin family's wealth for so many years. My mother just passed away, and you're already ungrateful?
I did not wrong your mother.
This illegitimate daughter is a year older than me. While you were pursuing my mother, you were also keeping them as your secret family. The house was filled with photos of the three of you.
Many guests picked up the photos, looking at them with great interest. Richard's already shaky lies were completely exposed, leaving him utterly humiliated.
Richard, what brand of bag are you, to hold so much?
You. Shut up, you're talking nonsense.
Dad, she's just here to cause trouble. Lunges at Isabella. Isabella, you vile woman, you're here to ruin my dad's wedding. You're heartless.
Provoked by Isabella, Sophia revealed her true nature. The socialites quickly distanced themselves.
Sophia, calm down.
But Sophia had already lost her mind and continued to lunge at Isabella. Isabella raised an eyebrow, slightly lifted her leg, and kicked her in the stomach.
Don't touch me. I have a cleanliness obsession.
Claire was kicked to the ground, her hair disheveled, looking utterly pathetic and powerless. She started crying loudly, throwing a tantrum in public.
How can Isabella treat Sophia like this? They are sisters after all. She doesn't even see you as her father.
Seeing the reactions of the crowd, Richard felt utterly humiliated and rushed to Isabella.
Isabella, you ungrateful brat. You're my daughter, not a dog of the family. If you can't recognize your place, then get out of here.
Don't yell at me so loudly. I was bitten by a dog when I was a child and have a trauma.
You. Are you calling me a dog? I don't have a daughter who doesn't know her place.
Don't insult dogs. Waves hand, security.
The security guards stepped forward to restrain Richard, holding him firmly.
You're not even as good as a dog. At least a dog knows to wag its tail at its owner.
Who pays your salaries? Let go of me. You're all fired, fired.
The security guards pressed down on his shoulders even harder, causing Richard to scream in pain.
With your quality, it's no wonder you raised someone like Sophia, who can't say anything decent.
Her words caused a stir among the crowd.
Richard may be a successful person, but he's so despicable and vulgar.
His ex-wife's body isn't even cold, and the mistress and illegitimate daughter have already taken over the house.
Sophia is so vulgar. She was bragging about how rich she is.
The crowd's ridicule was blatant. Richard and Sophia's exposed behavior made them look like worms in the eyes of these wealthy people. Richard tried to salvage the situation, but it was too late.
Take these three away so everyone can have some peace.
The security guards immediately complied, dragging the three of them aside and covering their mouths to prevent them from speaking.
Sorry for the disturbance. I had to handle some personal matters. I am Isabella, the only daughter of Vivian. I am back. From now on, I am the sole heir of the family. All matters of the family will be handled by me.
Standing alone on the stage, her slender figure exuded a powerful aura. Every gesture was elegant, and her innate nobility shone through. The guests had mixed reactions. Some opposed, some supported, and most chose to remain neutral, waiting to see what would happen.
Isabella, you're delusional. The legal representative of the company is your mother, not you. What gives you the right to make such claims?
The fact that my last name is the same.
Without a will, according to the law, you have no right to monopolize the company.
You can try.
The cold look in her eyes sent a chill down Richard's spine.
You have an engagement with Alexander. You'll be part of his family sooner or later.
Isabella frowned, clearly displeased with the marriage arrangement. If Richard hadn't mentioned it, she would have almost forgotten.
Mr. Song, the Shin family's matters have nothing to do with others.
She tried to walk past Richard.
Isabella, don't be so arrogant. No matter what, Richard is your father, and he has a say in your marriage.
Claire, who was being held in a corner by the bodyguards, suddenly lashed out. She kicked a bodyguard with her high heels and quickly ran to block Isabella.
A married daughter is like water spilled out. If the Shin family is handed over to you, will it still bear the Shin name?
Claire's words struck a chord with the Shin family shareholders. They didn't care who took charge as long as the company benefited, but if the Shin family became a subsidiary of the Yen family, no one would be happy.
For once, this mistress used her brain. However, a pregnant woman wearing such high heels, moving so swiftly, and even getting physical. It is truly rare.
Isabella, tall and imposing, looked down at Claire.
Your belly.
Claire took a step back, protecting her belly, and said warily.
What do you want to do to the child?
Isabella ignored her, turned around, and called a bodyguard over, whispering a few instructions.
You can't leave without explaining yourself.
Claire blocked her again. She had worked hard to get to this point with the child in her belly and couldn't let Isabella ruin it.
You're rushing over here, not afraid I'll harm the child?
Who are you calling an illegitimate child?
Unmarried and pregnant, a mistress's child. What else would it be?
Claire, who desperately wanted to become a wealthy lady, hated it when people brought up her past. She angrily grabbed Isabella's wrist, using force.
Today was supposed to be my and your father's wedding banquet, and you ruined it. Without a will, the company has always been managed by your father. You have no say.
Anyway, it won't be you in charge.
Isabella pushed her away forcefully. As expected, when Claire fell, she didn't protect her belly but twisted her ankle in her high heels.
Richard, the baby, my belly hurts.
Claire quickly reacted, clutching her belly and rolling on the ground, wailing as if she were about to lose the baby.
Call 911! Quickly!
Richard's face changed, glaring at Isabella.
If anything happens to the baby, I'll make you pay with your life.
She's not even pregnant. How can you be so easily fooled? With your intelligence, no wonder the Shin family has been declining under your management.
Shut up. How dare you talk nonsense at this point?
Richard was so angry he wanted to hit her, but the security guards immediately surrounded him, watching him closely. He was stuck, unable to advance or retreat, furious to the point of almost spitting blood. The scene was chaotic, with people shouting to call 911. Most of them looked at Isabella with condemnation. After all, the child was innocent. Claire lay in Richard's arms, sobbing softly, but her eyes were filled with triumph and mockery as she looked at Isabella.
Isabella, let's see how arrogant you can be now. Today, I'll make sure you lose everything.
But before the ambulance arrived, Isabella's reinforcements came first. Isabella escorted an elderly man into the room, causing a stir.
Isn't this Mr. Ethan? The Tian family has been a renowned medical family for 100 years. The current head, Tian Jun, is a highly respected hermit.
Isabella helped the elderly man to the side of the fainting Claire.
Mr. Ethan, this lady is about to lose her baby. Could you please take a look?
Claire, hearing the whispers around her, tried to get up and run.
No, I don't want your people to look at me. You must want to harm my child.
She pitifully pleaded with Richard.
Richard, take me to the hospital. I don't trust Isabella.
Don't worry, Mr. Ethan's medical ethics are renowned. He's better than any hospital.
He looked at Ethan respectfully.
Mr. Ethan, please.
Claire stiffened, instinctively retreating, but Isabella grabbed her wrist and forced her forward.
What's there to be afraid of? It's just a pulse check.
Don't touch me, it hurts.
Claire pushed Isabella's hand away, stumbling into Richard's arms, trembling and crying.
Richard, Mr. Ethan has been retired for years. Many wealthy people can't invite him, but Isabella brought him here at this moment.
Richard hesitated.
I want to go to the hospital. I don't trust anyone Isabella brings. I think she's trying to create a distraction. Richard, the company is the most important thing right now.
Okay, we'll go to the hospital when the ambulance arrives. Don't be afraid.
Richard warned Isabella.
No more tricks. The company has nothing to do with you.
Just then, a cold voice came from the door.
The will decides who gets the company.
Isabella turned around to see the handsome man from last night, now impeccably dressed, standing at the door with a frosty expression. Beside him was a slightly slimmer young man. His dark gaze fell on her, seemingly with anger.
Why are you here?
I'm here to hold you accountable.
Accountable for what?
I paid.
Alexander's mouth twitched, his face darkening. Just as he was about to step forward, a strong perfume scent wafted over.
Sir, I am Sophia, the eldest daughter of the Song family. Did Isabella owe you money? Don't worry, I'll help you.
Unfortunately, she didn't even touch a corner of his clothes. Alexander disdainfully moved aside, pulling Isabella in front of him as a shield.
What is this?
What's wrong?
Cheap perfume, polluting the air.
Isabella stifled a laugh. This guy's mouth is something else.
Dad, Isabella is here to cause trouble today. One reinforcement after another, when will it end?
Richard, also annoyed by the commotion, walked over to Alexander with a cold face.
Young man, no matter what Isabella asked you to do, please leave immediately.
Do you have a will?
This is my family matter. Who do you think you are? Mind your own business.
Alexander's gaze turned icy, and the tension in the air grew. His assistant, sensing the need to intervene, stepped forward but was met with Alexander's warning look. He changed his approach.
Sir, it's inappropriate to speak to my friend like that.
Isabella, feeling indignant, thought to herself, no matter what this handsome guy was here for, she couldn't let Richard be so arrogant.
If this is a family matter, why did you bring in two dubious women?
Do you think this guy can be compared to them? What exactly is your relationship?
I'm just here to hold her accountable.
Perhaps because the woman had stood in front of him earlier, Alexander found it amusing and decided to keep his identity hidden. Isabella's eyes widened, momentarily too shocked to retort to Richard. She stared blankly at the man so close to her, grinding her teeth. A duck that came to her door was still so arrogant?
In that case, please leave, gentlemen. Don't interfere with our family matters.
The Yen family was always low-key, and few guests recognized Alexander. But judging by his noble demeanor, it was clear he wasn't an ordinary person. Sensing his boss's gaze, the assistant stepped forward to smooth things over.
But what if we have information about Mrs. Shin's will?
Richard's heart skipped a beat. How could they have something he didn't?
Who exactly are you?
The lawyer will be here soon.
Today is my wedding day, and you still haven't had enough? I have to take my wife to the hospital. I don't have time to waste with you.
With that, he glared at Isabella and left with Claire and her daughter in tow. Isabella instructed the servants to see off the guests and pack Richard's family's belongings to throw them out.
Without my permission, no outsiders are allowed in.
The servants, trembling, agreed. The old butler waved them away and said kindly,
Servants are just doing their job. No need to get angry with them.
I'm not angry. I'm just giving them a warning, so they know who the real owner of this villa is. Mr. Smith, you've been with my mother for a long time. I'll need your help with everything inside and out.
Richard's family has been kicked out of the villa. They won't be content without a place to stay.
Arrange for them to stay in a hotel and keep an eye on their every move.
I'll take care of it.
After handling the details, Isabella entered the house and saw Alexander still sitting on the sofa, sipping champagne.
You're still here? Don't tell me you think I didn't pay you enough.
Between us, talking about money is unnecessary.
Isabella felt a twinge of sarcasm. Thinking of the will he mentioned earlier, her expression changed. What was his real intention, choosing this moment?
I'm me, and you're you, there's no us dot.
She leaned over, supporting herself on the sofa, her face close to Alexander's, blowing softly.
Your service is worth that much, and I gave you extra for your looks.
She had a faint, cold fragrance, sharp and clear, but her face, so close, was filled with a mischievous smile, adding a touch of allure. Alexander's mind flashed with fragments of last night, his lips pressed tightly together. He leaned in, his nose touching Isabella's, and grabbed her neck, his voice hoarse.
Last night in bed, you didn't say that.
Isabella put down her wine glass, her smile fading.
Don't push your luck. Leave now.
Alexander raised an eyebrow, his expression a mix of sharpness and mischief. He suddenly pulled her waist, pressing her onto the sofa.
So disdainful, were you not satisfied last night?
Isabella struggled but couldn't break free, her face turning ugly.
A grown man doesn't even know if he's capable. What else can you know?
Isabella. Speak properly.
Is this your idea of speaking properly? Sir, one should have some self-awareness. As for the will you mentioned, do you think I'm foolish enough to believe it?
Alexander's eyes darkened, hiding his anger. Isabella glared back, not backing down an inch. No matter what this man's intentions were, she wouldn't give anyone an opportunity while the Shin family was in turmoil. She hadn't even seen the will herself. After a long pause, Alexander laughed coldly, threw down his business card, and turned to leave.
Don't regret it.
The two parted on bad terms. Alexander stormed into his car, receiving a call from his grandfather as soon as he sat down. The old man started with the usual topic.
Come home for dinner tonight. I've arranged for you to meet Mr. Liu's granddaughter. She's beautiful, talented, and in good health. She'll be a good match.
Alexander was speechless. The old man had completely forgotten about his engagement.
Grandpa, I'm busy. I can't come back.
With that, he hung up and turned off his phone, giving his assistant a stern order.
To the Liston Hotel.
The Liston Hotel, located in the bustling city center, was where Alexander had a VIP presidential suite. He stayed there when he couldn't go home. Tonight, however, the room was occupied.
Mr. Yin, the young master got drunk and insisted on going to your suite. The hotel had no choice. If this gets out of hand, the old man will know you're here.
A flash of coldness crossed Alexander's eyes.
Get another room. Forget that room.
With that, he entered the elevator, his cold demeanor keeping everyone at a distance. As the elevator doors closed, Sophia appeared around the corner, delighted. She hadn't expected the man Isabella slept with to stay at the same hotel. She smiled slyly, thinking that the man must have something on Isabella. She had to get her hands on it.
Isabella, I hope you have a good time in the coming days.
The next day, at the Shin family villa, Isabella installed the cameras and set off for the company. After consulting with a lawyer, the current situation of the Shin family was not optimistic.
The sudden passing of Chairman Shin was too abrupt. She left a will, but it seems to have disappeared into thin air.
From Richard's attitude, he doesn't have it either. But the man from last night, he said he has it.
If that's the case, according to the law, you and your father will naturally share Chairman Shin's inheritance. Frankly speaking, Richard has controlled the Shin family for many years and has a strong foundation. In terms of inheritance division, Miss Shin, you are at a disadvantage, especially regarding the company.
Richard doesn't deserve a single penny of the Shin family.
The lawyer sighed.
If you want to win against Richard, you can only seek stronger external support, or ensure that you have no weaknesses they can exploit.
I understand. I'll go talk to that man.
Taking out the business card the man left last night, Isabella looked at the blank card with only a phone number and sneered.
What a show.
She dialed the number, and sure enough, a deep male voice answered.
Miss Shun?
Name the place, I'll come to you.
Isabella changed her clothes and makeup, and quickly arrived at the location the man mentioned, a quiet villa. Entering the office, she indeed saw a familiar figure.
I'm short on time, so I'll get straight to the point. I want you to be my boyfriend.
Alexander was momentarily stunned, then quickly recovered.
As far as I know, Miss Shin is engaged.
That's right, but I found that you are quite acceptable even when asleep.
A glint flashed in Alexander's dark eyes. He understood her intentions.
I can agree.
But Alexander had his own conditions.
But I have conditions too.
30 seconds later, Isabella's eyes widened in disbelief. He said he wanted to fulfill all the duties of a boyfriend.
Thank you, I have other matters to attend to, so I'll leave first.
Isabella walked to his side, left her business card, and said with a smile,
Goodbye, boyfriend.
Alexander's gaze fell on the business card in his hand. Below the phone number was an arrogant smiley face. His face suddenly changed.
It was her.
His assistant approached, saw the symbol on the card, and was shocked.
Mr. Yin, isn't this the symbol used by the notorious hacker who has been competing with you?
Alexander lowered his eyes, his hand brushing over the special symbol, a cold but interested smile forming on his face.
This little woman is more interesting than I thought.
Halfway through her journey, Isabella's phone rang incessantly. She glanced at it, seeing it was Richard's call. She waited until it was about to hang up before leisurely answering.
What is it?
But the person speaking wasn't Richard, it was Claire. Her voice was frantic.
Isabella, Sophia is missing. Did you do it?
Are you crazy? If someone is dead, go to the funeral home. If someone is missing, go to the police station. Do you want me to reimburse your travel expenses?
With that, she hung up and drove straight to the Shin Company. She didn't care about Sophia's well-being at all. But soon after, the butler called, and it was again about Sophia.
What did you say? Sophia tried to seduce my man.
The butler spoke disdainfully.
She didn't succeed. The gentleman didn't return to his room last night. The one staying there was the eldest young master of the Yen family, William. He's not someone to be trifled with, and his reputation isn't great. I've heard, he likes to play rough.
Isabella almost laughed out loud.
Serves her right. Last night must have been quite an event for Sophia. Did you get the video?
The butler understood.
All the evidence is secured.
Let her wait and cry.
Back at the Shin Corporation, Isabella began to reorganize the upper management.
Everyone has seen the financial department's accounts. On the surface, the Shin Corporation has had major projects every year, and the reported profits are considerable. But after a detailed investigation of the company's financial flow, I found that the Shin Corporation has been severely depleted over the years, almost reduced to an empty shell.
Miss Shin, there must be some misunderstanding. The financial accounts are verified and reported every year.
Including falsifying accounts and deceiving everyone? Throws down a stack of documents. With such a large amount, Mr. Brown, you could end up in prison.
Mr. Brown's legs went weak, nearly falling off his chair.
I was forced. It was all Mr. Richard's idea. I was just following orders.
There was a murmur among the directors, their expressions changing.
Ever since Richard took over the company, the projects have been a mess, and now we find out he's been falsifying accounts to fool us old folks.
Isabella, since you're back, take over the company properly. Someone has to clean up the mess Richard left behind.
Most of the board members were old associates of Vivian, supporting Isabella and quickly establishing her current position.
Since you're not the mastermind, I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself. Prepare the accounts today and have the legal department ready to sue Richard.
Mr. Brown swallowed hard, hesitating for a moment.
Or, we could sue you.
No, I'll prepare them right away. Thank you for your generosity, Miss Shin. Runs off hurriedly.
The other subordinates of Richard didn't dare to speak, fearing they'd end up like Mr. Brown.
Meeting adjourned.
Richard, wait for my revenge.
Isabella, at such a young age, you have such skill and courage. Your mother would be very proud if she could see you from above.
However, Richard is not an easy opponent.
To fully control the Shun Corporation and ensure no future troubles, you need a strong backing.
What do you mean?
I mean, you should meet your fiancé.
I'll consider it.
At the hotel, Richard and Claire were on the phone, instructing people to find Sophia. The hotel manager stood nearby, being scolded harshly, head bowed in silence. At that moment, Sophia returned to the room, disheveled and tearful.
Dad, Mom.
Her hair was messy, her lips and cheeks visibly swollen, and her neck was covered in ambiguous marks.
Sophia, what happened to you? Last night?
Sophia, what happened to you? Last night.
Mr. Johnson, please leave. Kicks the door shut. Where did you go last night to end up like this?
It was William. He's a beast.
William? How did you get involved with someone like him?
I don't know. Yesterday. I saw. No, it was William. He forced me.
Sophia has been through enough. Don't make it worse for her.
Who can we blame for this mess? If this gets out, I'll be humiliated.
This must be Isabella's scheme. This hotel was arranged by Isabella. How could it be a coincidence that William was here?
You mean William and Isabella are in cahoots?
She dared to set up Sophia like this. I will make her pay.
Isabella walked into the CEO's office under the watchful eyes of many. Since she could walk in so boldly, she had already investigated Richard's usual behavior. He relied on his position as chairman to exploit employees and often didn't show up for work. The employees worked tirelessly, but the company's accounts were another story. After organizing the accounts in the office, Isabella was about to call a lawyer friend to ask about resolving this issue. But before she could dial, her phone screen lit up with an incoming call.
Had the news spread so quickly?
Isabella, where are you? Dad has something to discuss with you. Where are you?
Isabella frowned almost imperceptibly.
Don't you already know where I am?
There was a pause on the other end, but the voice quickly resumed.
Are you still mad at me? Isabella, when I called you earlier, I couldn't control my emotions. You know I'm a bit impatient, but we're family. We can't be separated.
The man's greasy voice made Isabella feel nauseous.
Oh? Dad, you must be mistaken. When you were hosting that banquet, did you think about us being family?
Now he wanted to play the family card? Too late.
Although we share the same surname, as far as I know, you married into our family for this very reason, didn't you?
She hit the nail on the head, giving Richard no chance to respond.
I admit I've made many mistakes over the years, but the past is the past. I have to think about my future, don't I?
Isabella listened with interest as he continued his act.
I really loved your mother and wanted to do something for you.
Enough, enough. Richard, don't disgust me.
If Isabella didn't know what he had done, she might have been moved by his words.
Isabella, I am your father.
So quickly dropping the act? Richard, you really disappoint me, just like you have all these years. I'm really tired of listening to your nonsense.
With that, Isabella was ready to hang up.
Aren't you looking for your mother's will? I know where it is. I'm willing to tell you.
You know?
Yes, but I have one condition.
Hearing this, Isabella raised an eyebrow. This person was not only a poor actor but also a terrible liar.
Let's hear it.
My condition is simple. You must let us return home. Otherwise, you'll never see the will in your lifetime. Do you understand?
Interesting.
All right, I agree.
Just a grasshopper after autumn, let him jump around a bit more. Richard seemed taken aback by her quick agreement. His previously gloomy face lit up with joy. It seemed his daughter wasn't that difficult to deal with after all. After hanging up, Isabella's face showed a meaningful smile. Since they wanted to return home so badly, she would go along with it. For the rest of the afternoon, Isabella familiarized herself with the current staff at Shin Corporation. As expected, they were all Richard's people. These individuals, relying on their connection to Richard, did nothing all day. Another small group, influenced by this atmosphere and previously exploited by the former boss, had no motivation to work hard, creating a vicious cycle. Isabella was deep in thought when the knocking interrupted her.
Come in.
She looked up to see a man standing at the door, his suit fitting him perfectly.
Why are you here?
What's wrong? Do you have any questions about our cooperation?
She thought for a moment and continued.
Are you having second thoughts?
The man chuckled and walked in, standing directly in front of her desk.
I'm here to see my fiancée. Is there a problem?
Wait, weren't we just dating? How did I become your fiancé?
Alexander leaned over, his handsome face slowly approaching her across the desk.
Me?
Isabella quickly reacted, pushing her chair back.
Do you dislike me that much, fiancé?
His cool voice echoed in her ears.
She pondered those 3 words. Could it be?
Are you Alexander?
If so, why did he agree to her request to be her boyfriend?
I was looking for an opportunity to tell you. I didn't expect you to make that request.
In other words, she was too eager?
Are you playing with me?
Seeing he had no intention of speaking, she showed a hint of displeasure.
So, after all this back and forth, what's your purpose in coming to see me?
Purpose?
The word sounded particularly harsh to Alexander.
Cooperation.
Isabella was a bit taken aback, her red lips slightly parted.
I'm willing to cooperate with the Yen Corporation. But are you helping me because I'm your fiancé or your girlfriend?
Now you're learning to tease me?
His casual words made Isabella blush, but she quickly regained her composure. After thinking for a moment, she realized that given Shin Corporation's current state, cooperation with the Yen Corporation was impossible. But since this foolish man wanted to help her, why refuse?
You need an opportunity to establish yourself in Shin Corporation, and cooperation with the Yen Corporation is the best chance you have right now.
She understood his words and, after a moment of distraction, quickly agreed.
All right, what project does Mr. Yen have in mind?
As expected of my fiancée.
The atmosphere in the office suddenly warmed, with a hint of pink bubbles. Isabella's thick eyelashes fluttered like fans, and her ears turned red. 3 months later, Isabella obtained the will. According to its contents, she sued her father and reclaimed her mother's assets. On the day her father left with nothing, Claire and her mother, disgusted by his lack of money, took the remaining family funds and fled.